The moon doesn't change size near the horizon. A photograph proves it. But your brain generates a size increase so convincing that knowing it's false doesn't make it disappear. Hold that thought for exactly 2 seconds. Take out your phone tonight when the moon rises full and fat above the rooftops. Photograph it. Then wait 2 hours and photograph it again when it sits high overhead, looking like a coin someone flipped into the sky. Pull up both photos. Same disk, same diameter, down to the pixel. Your brain just built you a lie so complete, so detailed, so physically undeniable. And it did it without your permission, without your knowledge, and without stopping when you caught it. This isn't a quirk. This isn't a rare optical trick that happens to some people. Every human alive sees this. Every human who has ever looked at a low moon has seen it. Aristotle saw it and wrote about it. 11th century Arab mathematician Ibn al-Haytham analyzed it and came closer to the truth than most. Modern neuroscience has mapped the brain structures responsible for it, and science still doesn't have a single agreed explanation for exactly how your brain produces this effect. 2,000 years of recorded observations, over a dozen competing scientific theories, and we've only partially figured out the mechanism. Your brain has been lying to humanity about the moon for as long as humanity has existed. So what's actually happening? Your visual system doesn't measure the world, it models it. Every time you look at something, your brain isn't passively recording light hitting your eye. It's running a simulation, grabbing context clues from everything around the object you're looking at, then using those clues to infer both size and distance simultaneously. This system works brilliantly for the world it was built to handle: trees, animals, terrain, objects you can walk toward, distances you can cross on foot. It was never designed to process something 238,000 miles away. The moon is not a terrestrial object, and your brain doesn't know the difference. Here's the machinery. When the moon sits low on the horizon, your brain sees the ground, the buildings, the trees, the roads, all sitting in front of it. Context clues everywhere. Your brain registers all that foreground information and concludes this object is very far away. It is sitting behind all of these things. And here's the critical part. Your brain simultaneously registers how large an image that very far away object is producing on your eye. Large image, very far away. Your brain runs the only calculation that makes sense. The object must be enormous. It inflates the perceived size automatically. No warning, no consent, no option to turn it off. The moon just grew inside your head. When the moon is directly overhead, none of that foreground context exists. The space between you and the moon is empty sky. Your brain has no reference material, no buildings, no trees, no ground, nothing to estimate distance against. Without distance cues, your brain defaults to a smaller perceived size. The moon didn't move. The moon didn't change. Your brain ran the same physical signal through 2 completely different estimation contexts and produced 2 completely different answers. Before you see the full explanation, pause right here. If the moon isn't actually bigger and it's not the atmosphere acting as a lens, what do you think is producing the size difference? Take a guess. Is it the brain misestimating distance? Is it the foreground objects creating false context? Is it the way your brain models the shape of the sky? Or is it all 3 working at once? Think about your answer before you keep watching. Most people pick one. They're all partially right. And that partial rightness is exactly why this illusion has survived 2,000 years without a definitive explanation. Here's the mechanism, and it isn't one thing. It's 3 brain shortcuts firing simultaneously. First, your brain processes perspective the same way a camera does. Roads, rail lines, building edges all converge toward a vanishing point on the horizon. Objects appearing near that convergence point get tagged as far away, therefore large. It's the same reason 2 identical tiles look different sizes when one is photographed near the far end of a corridor. Your brain knows perspective, applies it constantly, and applies it to the moon whether it belongs or not. Second, your brain doesn't perceive the sky as a dome. It perceives it as a flattened ceiling, something like the inside of a shallow bowl. Objects at the horizon appear to be at the far edge of that ceiling. Objects directly overhead appear to be at the near center of it. Same angular size, different perceived distance, different perceived object size. Your brain is working exactly as designed. The design just wasn't made for celestial objects. Third, filled space versus empty space. Every inch of ground between you and the horizon moon is occupied. Terrain, buildings, trees, everything. The space between you and the overhead moon is empty. Your brain consistently perceives a path filled with objects as longer than an empty one. Filled paths feel farther. Farther distance, same retinal image, larger perceived object. All three mechanisms fire at once when the moon is near the horizon. Combined, they produce a perceived size roughly 1.5 times larger than the overhead moon, a consistent, measurable inflation with no physical basis whatsoever. A photograph disproves the entire effect in seconds. Now, here's where it gets genuinely uncomfortable. You understand this now. You know about the horizon distance cues, the flattened sky model, the filled space effect. You know the moon is identical in both positions. You go outside tonight and the moon is rising. Big, cinema screen enormous, filling the sky above the rooftops. Think carefully. Can you actually override what you see? Can you consciously make it look normal-sized by knowing the trick? Most people assume yes. You understand the mechanism. Surely that changes the perception. It doesn't. The illusion is hardwired below the level of conscious reasoning. Psychologist Maurice Hershenson identified the moon illusion as a process built into brain architecture at a level that predates any thought you can have about it. The size-distance modeling system runs before consciousness can intervene. You can hold up a coin and confirm the moon fits perfectly behind it in both positions. You can recall every mechanism you just learned. You can tell yourself with complete certainty that the moon hasn't changed. The horizon moon will still look enormous. Understanding the trick changes nothing about what you perceive. You are running software you cannot override. This is the same architecture that makes every visual illusion persist after you've understood it. Two parallel lines with arrows on their ends, one arrow pointing in, one pointing out. The lines are identical. Measure them with a ruler and confirm they match. Now look again. They still look different. Your brain's geometry processing doesn't take input from your rational understanding. It runs separately, produces its output, and delivers it to your consciousness as fact. The Ponzo illusion, the moon illusion, every optical trick that still works after you know, they're all the same system. A system that evolved for survival, not accuracy. A system that was never designed to be correct, only fast. Here's the one that will genuinely unsettle you. Over 50 studies, 50 separate scientific investigations have found no significant connection between the full moon and human behavior, crime rates, hospital admissions, or accidents. None. The connection doesn't exist in the data. Yet surveys consistently show that roughly 70% of people believe the full moon affects behavior. Many of those people are medical workers who have watched hospitals fill up on full moon nights. The experience feels real. The correlation feels obvious. The data says it isn't there. Now think about what you just learned. The same brain that builds a false moon size every single night using contextual clues to produce confident false data, that same brain is generating the feeling of a full moon behavioral effect. You're not seeing the effect, you're constructing it. Just like the giant moon on the horizon, it feels completely real, and it is completely wrong. The one measurable effect the full moon actually produces is modest. In low-light environments without artificial lighting, a bright full moon can reduce sleep duration by roughly 15 to 30 minutes by disrupting melatonin production. Not madness, not crime, not hospital emergencies. 15 to 30 minutes of slightly shallower sleep. That's the entirety of the moon's measurable influence on human behavior, and it's smaller than the effect of leaving your phone screen on. Next time the moon rises full and low on the horizon, hold up your thumb and measure it. Then wait 2 hours and measure it again. Your thumb covers exactly the same amount of moon both times. The enormous, looming moon you saw earlier, identical. Your brain built that giant from context clues and size-distance shortcuts, assembled a false image, and delivered it to your consciousness with complete confidence that it was real. It has been doing this every single time you've looked at a low moon your entire life. It did it to every human before you. The moon illusion is just the most obvious entry in a longer catalog of ways your brain actively misrepresents the night sky. The second one involves something you've probably never questioned, something you see every clear night and have never once doubted. And it's even more disorienting than the size illusion, because once you see it, you can't find the sky you thought you knew.